Hey YouTube, and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be going over the 3 highest scoring replays of Firstkiller in the RLCS this split. Basically, get an idea of how Firstkiller plays in the RLCS, like we did with Nupo a couple days ago. The self-proclaimed newest, fastest player, both newest and fastest, as he just joined in recently. Firstkiller's been around a while, but another player that has been highly regarded as one of the faster players in the game. And you might be wondering if you've been paying close attention to the RLCS. Nice play from Accelerate here. If you've been paying close attention to the RLCS, then you know that FaZe and Firstkiller were in an extremely long overtime, the longest North American overtime in RLCS history, and we're not going to be including that game. That game went for a super long time. It is, of course, the #1 highest in-game point scoring game for Firstkiller, but that was because of overtime. So we're going to check out the 3 that didn't include that massive overtime to see how Firstkiller's doing and how the rest of FaZe is doing. Now, FaZe, for the first time in any split, it seems like in recent memory, I want to say they have a streak of 7 or 8 splits in a row, or not splits, but regionals in a row, or even events in a row, where they finished tied for 3rd or 4th. It wasn't until their very most recent one, where they met NRG in the lower bracket, that they got knocked out before finishing 3rd or 4th. So a squad that has been playing super well for a long time and is looking to get a top finish. In fact, Firstkiller, after his performance against NRG in this last regional, said LeBron didn't win every championship he played, or something like that. You got to check him on Twitter. Basically saying this guy's confident. He knows he's going to get there eventually, and comparing himself to LeBron is high praise. So we'll see. Let's watch him. How does the LeBron of the Rocket League field perform? And right now, this is a game from the match between Accelerate. This is the first regional of spring and the first round where FaZe took on Accelerate. We got FaZe in the blue here. Firstkiller, I think, did he assist or score that first goal for his team? AJ not able to get a double. He's playing the back line for himself right now. AJ being a real pest on the goal line. Nice flick over 2. Firstkiller. He's going to score a second whether he scored the first or not. And AJ playing super, super aggressive. Them two being able to combine for some offensive pressure, putting his team up 2-1. Typical looking for Firstkiller. A bit of a half-hearted attempt at trying to intercept that pass. Interesting rotation back into the blue half. Instead of letting AJ take that straight on attack, they prefer to have Firstkiller turn in and pressure the play. Let AJ stay in net. Now another team play, quote-unquote team play, from Firstkiller and Sip as they pool shot save that ball out of their half. Interesting ball side rotation from First back towards Sip and AJ, who are both chilling at the midfield. One time it makes sense to be redundant on the field is when somebody's going to get demoed, and 2 defenders on Accelerate. They fall for that shot attempt, quote-unquote shot attempt from AJ that misses high. Or maybe it was a pass intended all along. Firstkiller is going to have no trouble scoring against the late rotating defenders. Nice play to himself off the ceiling. Firstkiller 4-1. 2 minutes left to go in this first game. And he is absolutely destroying Accelerate right now. Ball to air dribble setup. Has to play it quick in order to keep it away from Tool. Really interesting strong touch. You don't see that from players a lot, but it is a heads-up play. You try and take that dribble slowly, and you are going to get challenged. You have to try and play it as fast as possible. Firstkiller, one of those players who can get away with doing that. Keep the dribble despite touching it really, really strong. Now he finds himself ahead of the play, so he just breaks up that last defender, who's going to have an easy arc up the back wall to get a save if it weren't for him cutting off that angle, and then they're unable to get to AJ's dribble. Great kickoff communication between FaZe, I'm sure, trying to lose it over to Firstkiller, and the fake wave dash has the defender flying by. Firstkiller dominating here with his team in this first regional. Just taking another shot on net, maybe padding the stats there a little bit. The shot that never stood a chance, typical to AJ. Oh my goodness, 7-1. An absolute blowout for FaZe against Accelerate. And if you don't watch the team streams, there's a chance you haven't caught these games. The early games in all the regionals nowadays are being done by individual team streams, which has been cool. And actually, these FaZe games are probably ones you're most likely to catch because Rizzo does cover the FaZe Day 1. So he has got a very large watch party for FaZe. You might have seen them. Accelerate also has a team stream, I believe, run a little bit more efficiently, like on Accelerate's channel. So maybe there's going to be a couple different hidden gems here in these first couple rounds of the bracket that you might have not seen on the RLCS broadcast. And I think a couple more of these games are going to come from the early rounds as well. Typical, nice save, avoiding that demo. FaZe just has 40 seconds left before they take what I believe is this game number 2 against Accelerate. Actually, might be able to double check. You know what? I'm not going to risk it. I know I can Alt-Tab out during a show match, but a replay might just pause itself if I were to switch out. Oh, wow. Firstkiller left all alone to make that 50. It seems like Accelerate's not even trying to shoot anymore. Maybe AJ isn't either. Firstkiller falling from the ceiling. 7-1. It will be a Brazil for FaZe against Accelerate. And Firstkiller, one of his top 3 scoring games. Let's go to the next one. Hey YouTube, you made it this far into the video, and did you know that 50% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed? If you could subscribe, it would mean a lot. I'm hoping to get maybe 30K. This just happened live. Boom Shakalaka just subbed. I'm not live. He just gave me a prime while I was recording this. How crazy is that? Anyways, that means you've got to give me a subscribe. Come on. Now we're in Regional 2. This is the first round of Regional 2. And FaZe and Accelerate have met each other again. This time we're watching Game 1 of this matchup between them two. And one of the things that I feel like I've noticed, a small trend that has to do with the RLCS spring split, is that all these points are kind of set in stone from everything that's gone on so far. That matchups tend to be very, very similar. I don't think it's too uncommon for the same matchups to happen again and again when these players when these teams have these really set in stone points and seeds as they join in. So FaZe, a pretty high seed, playing Accelerate, who has been trying to work their way into a higher seed in these regionals, but has not escaped FaZe in this second one. I think we've also seen All Mid, a team that has been trying to, make their moves in their RLCS. They've been doing a great job of qualifying. Have had to play, I think, version 1 in the first round both times, and then, unluckily, having to play NRG, who is losing in their other round. This is a nice passing play to Firstkiller for him to finish it off. But All Mid has truly drawn some tough luck in their seeding. And it can be tough to overcome here late in the season. And that's why it's so important to play a solid Rocket League year, now that the seasons are going to be going for a full year, which is kind of interesting. Having gone through all of the RLCS one time and looking back, thinking about how do we feel about how the system works, one thing I feel, wow, that was a great pass from Sipical. Credit to Sipical for that goal. Insane double off the back wall. But one of the most interesting things is the Rocket League scene has changed so greatly since the winter regional and the winter major. BDS ended up winning that with NRG in the final. BDS seems like they're going to be a good team once again, but we've had time for BDS to almost fall off a little bit and come back. I say fall off just because they didn't have a great major. They're still a super solid team, but now they seem even better. And by the time we get to the end of the season, BDS is probably the worst example I can think of, but still a small example. There's tons of teams that have ebbed and flowed. For example, G2 didn't start off great, and now they're peaking at just the right time. So it's kind of interesting how long the seasons have been. I think we should all value majors a little bit more, if you ask me. Everyone keeps trying to say, including the players, majors don't matter, majors don't matter. All that matters is worlds. Well, if you cared about the worlds before, those used to happen just about twice a year. So why aren't we caring a little bit more about these majors that happen just a tiny bit more frequently, but still, closer to the frequency than we see from World Championships, which are now going to be one a year. But anyways, Firstkiller with another great play. In fact, a bunch of team plays from FaZe. AJ had a great pass. They've just been playing well all together. AJ has been a real pest. See him flipping forward off the midfield kickoff. Isn't able to grab up any boost, but he still wants to put pressure on Accelerate right away. Halfway through the game, they are up 4. And as I always love to say, if only half the game time has surpassed, then Accelerate could hit back with all the same things that FaZe did in the first half. Something tells me that's not what we're going to see. J-Bot and Bambi being super aggressive. AJ with a great save. Dancing away from the bumping defenders by playing on the back wall and still getting a really nice touch away from the net. Firstkiller, a full back rotation now. J-Bot being aggressive. It seems like Accelerate has talked about turning up the aggression, but Firstkiller's all alone with Tool. Tool not even close to getting this save. Tried to pre-jump it so early. I'm not sure it makes sense to jump that early when you potentially, I guess you don't have any teammates. When both your teammates are going for bumps, you are basically completely in a 1v1. Normally, you know, you wait to challenge as long as you can, potentially see if you can get some help in the backfield, but help was not coming for Tool there. Firstkiller high off the wall. 2 FaZe members attacking for that. It's not going to matter. The ball falls right to Typical. In fact, it almost ended up turning into a great team passing play since they had 2 players in front of the ball. 1:15 left to go. FaZe has already had great games against Accelerate. It turns out a team that is creating the best possible games from Firstkiller, as 2 of his 3 top scoring games are coming from playing against Accelerate. Pre-jump off the wall. Great dodge of the demo. Firstkiller has found a way to not get demoed physically at all, despite the incredible increased aggression for the demos from Accelerate. HNI save. Firstkiller trusting his 2 teammates. Turning off ball cam, saying they can control it in the corner. I don't need to worry about it. And he actually just left the net open a little bit, but nothing, absolutely nothing is going Accelerate's way. Firstkiller touching to the corner, losing that 50. Got there far too late. Tool was much better position. But with 18 seconds, what does it really matter if he wins that 50 or not? I'm trying to remember what the last game, I don't believe it's against Accelerate, so we're going to see a new team that Firstkiller will play against. I forget what it is, but make sure you stick around. So in about 5 seconds, we'll get to find out. Will we get one more goal here? Nope. Firstkiller will touch to the ground, and we will head to the 3rd highest scoring game for Firstkiller. It shouldn't come as too much of a surprise that our next highest scoring game is in the lower bracket. A lower bracket where you tend to find a little bit easier opponents to put up big scores on. And this is going to start with a nice reset. It's going to ultimately register as an assist for Firstkiller. The first one gets saved away, but he leaves the net nice and wide open for his teammates. This is lower round 2. FaZe against Pittsburgh Knights. Pittsburgh Knights qualifying in spectacular fashion. I think we followed on our Twitch stream the randoms as they went through qualifying. Unfortunately, they fell to the Pittsburgh Knights. So that must mean the best possible team in the world, because our randoms couldn't lose to anybody but the best. But we'll see how Firstkiller puts up a solid game against these guys. We've already seen a couple nice plays from him only 30 seconds in, including a bump against his own teammate. Civical just trying to clear the ball away. Firstkiller says no. I'll give you a nice hug and push you back. Firstkiller does get demoed here on this 50. We just talked about how good of a job Firstkiller does at never getting demoed. But that's not the case at the beginning of this game against Pittsburgh Knights. I wonder if AJ's going to look back for Firstkiller. A little bit too much of a kill, and I wonder if Civical had a better shot than Firstkiller did. Seemed like the play was set up for him, but hey, they work it out anyways. Civical able to take control after Firstkiller, the really light touch. Smart play at the very least to recognize that tapping that ball away from the midfield was not the play. Obviously, they had some comms there because if Firstkiller thinks he's there by himself, what a save! Oh my goodness, talking about avoiding getting demoed. Cheese chasing him down, in and out of the net, and a perfect save. A save low too, the hardest kind of save to get when you're forced up to the top of your net like that. Firstkiller wants it again. He's pulling himself up into the net. He wants to get a couple highlight plays. Sosa, for whatever reason, helping Firstkiller clear the ball, and the reason why is he wants to find Cheese. Clears the ball into the midfield where Cheese is able to score. Ooh, fake kickoff. Ooh, I like that. I haven't seen tons of kickoff strategies from Threes teams. Haven't delved into them too deep, but that was a great one. Leaving the ball for Civical to tap it to him on the left side of the field, and then Firstkiller in the open field. We all know how that goes. You don't want to leave Firstkiller on an island. Typical. Firstkiller wants to take the ball away from him. He thinks he's got a better chance at it. Unable to steal it from him. AJ can't finish it either, and now all the FaZe team members giving tons of space to the Pittsburgh Knights team. Jeez. You can see pre-flipping past the ball. Firstkiller recognizing that instantly and never really even giving him a moment to potentially demo him. It was definitely a demo attempt, but you may have missed it just because Firstkiller reading it so quickly. He's bumping AJ once again. Firstkiller does love to bump his teammates on his way back into the orange half. And once again, he's going to go up with this ball with Typical. We've seen a bit of what you might call double commits from Firstkiller and the rest of FaZe, but it's tough to blame them in these situations where they're dominating. Nice wave dash. A little bit too far underneath the ball. Oh, look at that shot from Typical. Oh my goodness. Everybody on FaZe is so nasty with it. They all want to get to the ball when they can. First. Back into the corner. Wasn't able to challenge on the cheat. Left AJ alone. AJ does get scored on. Still tons of time left in this game. Just because Firstkiller scored high doesn't necessarily mean they win the game. In fact, FaZe was not able to win the extremely long overtime in which Firstkiller got a lot of points. 2 demos in a row. Firstkiller's putting on his Woody and his Rocket Sledge hat, and he's getting himself a goal. Look at him go. He is absolutely cleaning up the back line. And he gets a 6th off a pass from his teammates. Firstkiller turns, sees Typical going to challenge, knows somebody's going to have to be back, and Typical doing a little bit of what we saw Firstkiller doing earlier. But they have that player that's retreating just play pest. Just try and dive all over the ball, break up the offensive possession of the other team, and just leave that defender in net ready to react in case they are unable to intercept it early. Firstkiller recognizing he's not going to get back to it, at least not in the air. Instead, nobody challenges this ball at all. Why was Firstkiller able to get away with letting that ball come all the way down to the ground and passing it to AJ? I just can't imagine. There shouldn't be some Pittsburgh Knights player around to prevent him from being able to do that. Jeez, really soft shot. So Firstkiller takes his time getting the clear, making sure AJ's going to get the next touch. It hasn't really mattered much, though. Pittsburgh Knights still in control of the ball. Interesting. Wow, what a save. Just pre-jumping. Jeez, this pass. It's Typical. Is he just chasing? He just drove right past the ball. Firstkiller has now decided to camp in net. Okay, he's going to come out. His teammates bringing him out. They're playing well enough. Are they all using... Oh, no, they're not using the same card. They're using similar ones. At least Firstkiller was using ones earlier in the replay session that we're watching. 7-2. These guys might be turning their brains off a little bit with a 5-goal lead in 42 seconds. They're just waiting for the clock to run out. But still, sometimes that's when you see the most highlight plays. Firstkiller was last back and just got demoed. If that shot's online, yeah, it is a goal for the Pittsburgh Knights. 30 seconds. Will we get a clip from Firstkiller? It's been fun watching Firstkiller play some threes. I think we're going to watch this a little bit more. Assuming you guys like doing this, maybe check out what it's like to play in these players' positions. And, of course, we'll check out their best games. I like to highlight the best plays from players. So we've done Nupo. We've done Firstkiller. Make sure you comment if you want to see anybody else and their perspective in some of their best games in the RLCS. I know there's tons of different players we could watch. But I promise to watch the ones that you guys pick. So be loud about it. Can we get one more clip from First? Cheese and AJ combining for a pass. It'll hit the ground. So Firstkiller looking solid. Him and FaZe, maybe a little bit of double committing in these games where they dominate. But still, great play. And Firstkiller is named the best by lots of people for a good reason.